Okay, we can start, and we will begin with doing 3 bows to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. 1, 2, 3, and then we'll do the salutation. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, would anybody like to volunteer to be the responder today? Margot, would you be the responder?
Yes, I would be happy to. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so we're beginning. I just want to check to make sure that the recorder is going. Okay, so we're beginning a new sutta today. So this is sutta number 27. It's called the Chula Hati Padopama Sutta. So Chula means smaller or shorter because there are 2 suttas with the same title. One is longer, the other is shorter. So this is supposedly the shorter one, though it's actually fairly long. Then Hati is an elephant, and Pada is the track or the print, the footprint. It's not the same as the foot. The foot is Pada, and the footprint is Pada. And then it's Upama. Upama means a simile. Actually, when it stands alone, it's Upama. So it's a feminine noun, but here it's joined with sutang, so it's turned into a short A. And then the A and the U combine by sandhi to form an O. So upama is simile. So this is the shorter discourse on using the simile of the elephant's footprint. And why it has that title, we'll see. Okay, and we're beginning with the section number 288. We'll just skip over reading the first sentence since that's standard in all the suttas. So we'll begin with Tena Kopana Samayena
Tena kopana samayena,
Janu Soni Brahmano
Janu soni brahmano,
Sabba Setena
Sabha sitena,
Valavabi Ratena
Valava biratena,
Savatya Niyati Diva Divasa.
Savatya niyati diva divasa.
Okay, so the sutta begins at a time when the Buddha is living at Savatthi in Jeta's grove. Okay, and then the narrative continues. On that occasion, the Brahman's name is Janusoni, but according to the commentary, Janusoni was not the proper name, but it was a particular position within the class of the Brahmins, but we'll just treat it as a name. So Janusoni, the Brahman Janusoni. Then we'll go to the verb niyati, which means, or comes from yati, which means to go, plus the prefix nir, which gives a sense of out. And so when the R meets the Y, it gets assimilated. So we have niyati. the Brahmin Janusoni was going out from Savatthi. So this would be the ablative case. And he was going out Sabasatena Valavabi Ratena. Oh, I just realized I didn't quite get that word. Let me just. Sometimes one assumes one knows something, and then when one comes across it and sees one doesn't know it. Yeah, I have to admit, I'm not quite sure of what the Abhi is doing there, but Valava is a mare, a female horse, and Rata is a chariot. I see there's a different reading in the Sinhalese PTS edition, Valabiratena. But anyway, this is a chariot which is drawn by mares, and it's Sabbasaitena, which means it's all white. And according to the commentary, explains that the horses were white and there were white ornaments, and the chariot itself was white. The horses were white with white ornaments on the horses. The chariot itself was white and had white adornments and white, like a fender, the white reins, the goad was white, the parasol was white. Yeah, everything associated with the chariot was white. Maybe this was a mark of the prestige of this Brahmin. And so he's setting out from Savatthi in a chariot drawn by horses, and everything is white. And he's going out Diva Divasa, and this is a kind of idiomatic expression which means in the middle of the day. So one diva is the day, and the second diva is also day. So this is in the day of the day. In other words, at midday. Okay, then continuing with the narrative. The Dasa ko Janusoni Brahmano
Adasa ko Janusoni Brahmano
Pilotikang Paribhajakang Duratova Agachantang.
Pilotikam Paribhajakam Durato Va Agachantam.
Disvana Pilotikang Paribhajakang Etadavocha.
Disvana Pilotikam Paribhajakam Etad Avocha.
Okay, so now Janusoni, the Brahmin, sees a certain paribhajaka. Paribhajaka is a wanderer, like a wandering ascetic. And he's described as pilotika. It's interesting. This is the same word that we came across in the at the end of the Aligadopama Sutta, where the Buddha describes his Dhamma as chino pilotiko. And pilotiko, as I explained last week, is a kind of cloth which has been torn and ripped apart and is then sewn together and stitched together. So earlier I was treating understanding Pilotika to be the name of the wanderer, but maybe what's indicated here is that this wanderer was wearing a cloth which had been torn and was sewed together. Because just below, Janusoni will refer to this wanderer by the name Vachayana. So anyway, the Brahmin Janusoni saw this wanderer Pilotika. Then we have Agachantang. What is part of speech is Agachantang?
Present participle.
Yeah. And what case is it?
Accusative.
Yeah. And it's accusative because
It's the direct object. He sees him coming from a distance.
yeah. Okay, so the wanderer sees him coming from the distance, and then he says to the wanderer, we'll treat Pilotika as a name, to the wanderer Pilotika. He says, Handa kuto no bhavang vachayano agachati diva divasa. Yeah, you can.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Handa kuto nu bhavam vachayano agachati diva divasati.
yeah, this Handa, it's a kind of particle in indeclinable, which it's untranslatable. And usually it just introduces a statement. But the actual statement takes the form of a question, an interrogative, with kuto nu. So kuto is from where. And so he's asking where, and he refers to this wanderer as bhavang vachayano. So bhavang is a kind of respectful term of designation, a little bit like maybe we would translate it as the honorable or even the venerable. And then apparently Vachayana is his proper name. And one could tell that this is a Brahmin also because whenever we have Ayana in the name, it indicates, in my understanding, that it's a member of the Brahmin caste. So he's asking, from where is the honorable Vachayana coming, Diva Divasa, in the middle of the day? And then Vachayana replies, Ito hiko ahang
Ito hi ko aham
bo agachami
bo agachami
samanasa gautamasa santika.
samanasa gotamasa santika.
So the ito he is just like from here, he says, and then he uses bo. Bo is the vocative form that corresponds to bhavang. So bhavang is the nominative singular, which in this case is going with vachayano, and bo is the vocative, which is actually, it's a contraction of bhava, but bhava not in the sense of existence, but bhava as the honorable, as the term of address, evocative, the term of address meaning honorable. So he says, oh, and he addresses Janusoni also as Bo. You could say, sir, maybe just translate it as sir. So, sir, I am coming from the presence. Santika is the presence of the ascetic Gautama. Why the sentence begins with ito, I have to say I don't understand. Okay, so then, anyway, then he continues, Tung King Manyati,
Tung Kim Manyati,
Bhavang Vachayano, Samanasa Gautamasa,
Bhavam Vachayano, Samanasa Gotamasa,
Panya Vetai, Panya Veyatiyang.
Panya Veyatiyang.
Yeah, Panya Veyatiyang. Okay, okay, and then he replies, Pandito Manye.
Pandito Manye.
Okay, so Janusoni, the Brahma Janusoni says, Tungking Manyati. So what do you think about that, honorable? So he says, what do you think about that? Oh, I see. So he uses the third person singular as a kind of respectful way of addressing. So he says, what does the honorable, yeah, the commas here are a little bit misleading. So, whoops. What does the honorable Vachayana think about the ascetic Gautamas? Then he uses this rather unusual expression, Panya Veyatiyang. And this is derived, it's a compound of Panya, which is wisdom, and then the noun Veyatiyang is derived from the adjective Vyata. Vyata means competent, capable, or expert, capable, competent, skilled, expert, experienced in. And so from this adjective, vyata, one creates the noun, vayati. I think it's a neuter noun, vayati young. And so this would be his competence in wisdom, his expertise in wisdom. I just want to see how we translated that.
Lucidity of wisdom is
Lucidity, okay. Yeah, that's a little free. Yeah, it's a little free. I would say maybe more competence in wisdom. Okay, and then the wonder of Vajrayana says Pandito Manye, which means I think he is wise, I think. Oh, I see. This should be, again, the punctuation here is misleading. It should be this way. The Manye is directed again at Vajrayana. Do you think he is wise? And then Vajrayana replies, Ko chahang bo, ko cha samanasa gautamasa Panya Vayatiyang Jani Sami.
Ko chahambo ko cha samanasa gotamasa panya veyatiyang janisami.
Then we'll continue. Sopi nunasa tadi sova
Sopi nunasa tadisova
yo samanasa gotamasa
yo samanasa gotamasa
panya vayatiyang janeya.
panya veyatiyam janeya.
Okay, so Janosoni has asked, what does the Honorable Vachayana think about that? About what does the Honorable Vachayana think about the ascetic Gautama's competence in wisdom? Do you think he is wise? And then Vachayana replies, who am I? The construction here is rather odd. I have to admit that I can't quite decipher it, but the sense is, who am I that I should know? Janisami is the future. Maybe take it this way. Who am I and who will know the ascetic Gautama's competence in wisdom? Yeah, it sounds odd when we translate literally, but that's the way I would take the sense. The ko goes with I, with ahang, and the ko is asking about another person. So who am I and who would know the ascetic Gautama's competence or expertise and wisdom? Then in the next sentence, we have so p, and the so here goes with tadiso. And the nuna is an indeclinable, which gives a kind of emphasis to the sentence, like certainly or surely. And I think the asa is would the optative verb would be. And the word tadiso means similar or the same as that one. So this translating it literally, he surely would have to be similar or the same, that is the same as the Buddha, who would know the ascetic Gautama's competence in wisdom. Let's see, the translation we had here, one would surely have to be his equal. Equal is tadiso, but tadiso more literally is to be similar, to be like that, to know the recluse Gautama's lucidity of wisdom. Okay, maybe I'll ask whether there's any questions at this point.
Okay,
Yeah,
I have 3 questions.
yeah.
The first one is, so Panditomani is what Vajrayana thinks rather than Janusoni thinks? I would think manye is I think.
Let's see.
Janu Soni, I think the Buddha is
Oh, wait. Okay, so let's put, just to make, so this is Jano Soni speaking. Okay, so Jano Soni says, where is the Honorable Vachayana coming from in the middle of the day? And Vachayana says, I am coming from the presence of the ascetic Gautama. Then Jano Soni says, Tunking Manyati. Okay, what does the Honorable Vachayana think about that? And then that seems to be referring to the competence and wisdom of the ascetic Gautama. It seems here Jano Soni, would be saying, I think he is wise. He is wise, I would think. Yeah, does that make it? I would think he is wise. Yeah, that seems to me to be the sense. Okay. Is that what you were sort of indicating?
yes.
Yeah, go
Um,
on.
The second question is that Jani Sami. So Banda treats it as a third person singular rather than the first person singular.
Oh, I find this, I have to admit, this second kocha here, it's puzzling to me. It would make sense the way it was translated, and this is coming from Venerable Nyanamoli, not myself. So who am I that I should know, that I will know, but in the sense that I should know the competence and wisdom of the ascetic Gautama. Yeah, so this is a bit puzzling to me. And unfortunately, the commentary, let me just take another look. But it doesn't seem to do anything to give any explanation of this.
Bante,
Yeah,
is it make sense to say like, who am I to know? And I had it in my head, but where am I to know, and maybe how to know the competent in wisdom of the recluse Gautama.
wait, you might be on the right track. Just a moment. In fact, you're on the right track. I'll paste in the commentary. Yeah, this is the way the commentary explains it. So first it takes ko cha hung bo. So he says, like, so starting from the end here, who am I indeed in knowing the competence of wisdom of the ascetic Gautama? So that's the ko cha hung part. Then for the ko cha samanasa Gautamasa panyavitayitang jani sami. So it glosses, you could see the ko here with kuto, which means in what way or how. So how will I know the ascetic Gautama's competence and wisdom? So, and how will I know the ascetic Gautama's competence and wisdom? And then it rephrases with kena karanena. By what method, on what grounds, by what means will I know this? And so it says, thus in every way, he explains his own ignorance about this matter. Yeah, so that was actually a good suggestion, confirmed by the commentary. And so we'll take it in that way. So who am I and how can I know or will I know the ascetic Gautama's competence and wisdom? Surely one would have to be just like him who would know the ascetic Gautama's competence and wisdom. Okay, so Boe, did you have another question?
Yeah, but Bante, it's not common to interpret ko as kuto, right? It's very rare.
Very rare, yeah, but apparently this is the way the text came down and this is the way the commentary is
Okay.
explaining it.
And the third question is the divasa. Is it
Yeah.
in the early morning or in the middle of the day? Because the Chinese and Japanese dictionaries all explain it as in the early morning. I just wonder.
Yeah, but the commentary has, I'll paste it in. Majanha Kale. Okay, so Kale is the time, and Majja is the middle. It's just like in Majjhima Nikaya, the middle discourses. And then Anha is a word that means day. It was actually originally Aha, but then it's the nasal is put in for ease of pronunciation. So according to the commentary, this is the middle of the day. Oh, it seems a bit odd, I have to say, to be coming from the presence of the Buddha in the middle of the day. Yeah. Anyway, it could be either early or middle. I don't know. Okay, any other questions? Okay, then we'll continue. Yeah, I find it helpful to mark the speakers. Okay, so now Janusoni says, Ularaya kalo bhavang vachayano.
Ularaya kalu bhavam vachayano.
Samanang Gautamang
Samanang Gautamam.
pasangsaya pasangsati.
Pasangsaya pasangsati.
Okay, so the word ulara is an adjective meaning high, lofty, how did we render it back? Yeah, the old translation has high or lofty, and it's going with pasangsa, which is a feminine noun meaning praise. And so this is probably the instrumental case. So pasangsa is the noun and pasangsati is the verb based on the same, pasangsati is the verb to praise. And so the subject here is in the nominative bhavang vachayano, the honorable vachayana, and the object in the accusative is samanang Gautamang, the ascetic Gautama. So Janusoni is saying that the honorable Vachayana praises the ascetic Gautama with high praise, with lofty praise. And Kalu is just a bit emphatic, like indeed. And so Vachayana replies, who am I? And then we'll take this in the same sense. And how, in what way will I praise the ascetic Gautama? I think this, I'm sorry. Yeah, the original has wrong, this Burmese edition has bad punctuation. Okay, so he asked the question, so who am I and in what way should I praise the ascetic Gautama? And then he says, Pasata pasatova,
Pasata pasatova,
so bhavam Gautamo,
so bhavam Gotamo,
Sato Deva Manusanam.
seto deva manusanam.
So now he's saying that the honorable Gautama is pasata pasato, that he is praised by those who are praised. And he's praised as Sato Deva Manusanam. So Sato is best and Deva Manusanam of gods and humans, or best among gods and humans. Okay, so that honorable Gautama is praised by the praised as best among gods and humans. Okay, and then now it's Janusoni speaking and says, Kam pana bhavang vachayano atavasang
Kam pana bhavang vachayano atavasam,
sampasamano
sampasamano,
samane Gautame evang abhipasanno.
samane gotame evam abhipasanno.
Okay, so the kung here is an interrogative word going with atavasang, which has the meaning of reason. So he's saying, and then it goes with, and this kung atavasang is the accusative object of the present participle sampasamano, which has the sense of considering or seeing. And so he's saying, seeing, translating literally, seeing what reason does the Honorable Vachayana, or is the Honorable Vachayana so trusting? This is abhipasano, or maybe even so devoted to the ascetic Gautama. Yeah, this abhipassano, it's a sort of intensification of the word pasano. Pasano is having confidence or trust in somebody, particularly used in the religious context of somebody having trust in a spiritual teacher or a guide. And abhi sort of intensifies it or elevates it, a very high level of trust and confidence. And that abhipassano and abhipassano both take their object in the locative case. Yeah, just like in English, we say one has trust in somebody, one has confidence in somebody. So translating literally, seeing, perceiving what reason does the Honorable Vachayana have such confidence, such trust in the ascetic Gautama. Okay, now the elephant's footprint is going to be, simile is going to be introduced. Do we have any questions about the sentences that we just took? Okay, then let's go on. Okay, so say atop, and now, okay, this will be Vachayana speaking. Say atapi bo,
Sayatapi bo.
kusalo nagavaniko,
Kusalo. Nagavaniko.
nagavanang paviseya.
Nagavanam paviseya.
So paseya nagavane mahantang hatipadang.
So paseya nagavane mahantam hatipadam.
Digato cha ayatang, or
Digato,
ayatang, I'm sorry, ayatang.
digato cha ayatam.
Tiriyancha vitatang.
Tiriyancha vitatam.
Okay, so with the sayatapi, this introduces the simile or the allegory. So suppose, sir, a skilled Naga Vaniko. So Naga, one of the meanings, often the word Naga means a kind of dragon, a supernatural kind of being. But another use of the word Naga is to indicate a bull elephant, a big elephant, usually a tusker with tusks. And the vana is a forest, woods. And the person who takes care of the of that wood, sort of the woodsman, you might say, the guardian of the wood, would be called vaniko. So this is the guardian of an elephant's, of the woods where the elephants, inhabited by the elephants. And so this elephant, the elephant woodsman would enter the elephant forest. Okay, and he would see, there he would see a large elephant's footprint. This is the Hati Padang in the elephant woods. And by way of length, it's long. And by way of its width, it's broad. Yes, I see the translation as long in extent and broad across. So digato is what's rendered in extent, and ayatang is the measurement of length. So it's long by way of length and broad across. Okay, so then so nitang gacheya
So nitang gachaya.
mahavatabo nago, or nagoti. Here we would recite the T.
Maha vatabo nago ti.
Okay, so the elephant woodsman comes, he would come to the conclusion. In Pali, it's he would go to the conclusion. Indeed, sir, a great bull elephant. So the woodsman infers from the elephant's footprint that that had been made, or that there's a great bull elephant in the forest. And so then he continues, Evam eva ko ahang bo,
Evam evako aham bo.
yato adasang samane gotame chatari padani.
Yata yato adasam samane gotame. Chatari padani.
Okay, we'll put it this way. At ahang nitam agamang,
At aham nitang agamang.
samma sambuddho bhagava,
Sama sambuddho bhagava.
swakato bhagavata dhammo,
Svakato bhagavata dhammo.
supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangoti.
Supatipanno bhagavato
Savaka sangoti.
savaka sango.
Okay, so evam eva, so this is drawing the comparison. So in exactly the same way, sir, when I, the ahang goes with a dasang, a dasang is, of course, it's the, what grammatical form, a dasang? Anybody?
It's aorist, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so the adasang is the aorist of, it's actually the aorist of a verb that never really occurs in the indicative in Pali of dasati, which gets replaced in Pali by pasati. So it means dasati is to see and the dasang is saw. So when I saw in regard to the ascetic Gautama, 4 footprints, he's calling these footprints, then I came to the conclusion. So agamang is the aorist of gachati, to go. So then I drew the conclusion that the Blessed One is a perfectly enlightened one, that the Dhamma has been well expounded by the Blessed One, and that the Blessed One's Sangha of disciples has practiced well. So interestingly, first he's setting up a simile that just as the elephant woodsman, when he sees the footprint long and broad in the elephant forest, he draws the conclusion, in this forest, there's a big bull elephant. And so when I saw 4 footprints of the ascetic Gautama, then I came to the conclusion that the Buddha is fully enlightened, his Dhamma is well expounded, the community of disciples is practicing well. So any questions here?
Bante,
Yeah.
about that digato ayatang, that sentence is vitatang nominative and ayatang and tiriang are nominative too or accusative? And how
Wait.
about yigato?
Wait. You would say no. Ayatang and vitatang have to be. What do they have to be? You should be able to answer that. What are they What are they describing? What are they qualifying?
Hatipadang.
Right. And what case is hatipadang?
It's a
Accusative.
person.
Yeah, it's the accusative because it's the object. The subject is the woodsman. So he sees the footprint, the elephant's print. And so the elephant's footprint is long. So ayatang is describing hatipadang. And vitatang, it's wide, also describing hatipadang. Then digato, it's this kind of ablative used idiomatically in the sense of by way of length, it's long. And tiriang, I guess tiriansha. It seems to be accusative, but again, it's used, I don't know, just to indicate a plane of measurement. So we just say across, it's wide or broad. It's across, it's broad. I think tiriang is maybe perhaps it's an indeclinable because
But
yeah,
it's given as an adverb in the dictionary.
it's an adverb. Yeah, then it would make sense that it's always occurs as tiriang. So it's an adverb meaning across. Okay, any other questions so far? Okay, so let us see what the 4 footprints of the ascetic Gautama are. Actually, it'll really be only one, but or at least one description with 3 variations on it. Okay, so we come to paragraph 289, and still this is Vachayano speaking. So Kattamani Chatari.
Katamani Chatari.
So what are the 4? Idahang Bo Pasami.
Idaham Bo Pasami.
Ekache Katya Pandite.
Ekache Katya Pandite.
Nipune Kattapara Pavade.
Nipune Katapara Pavade.
Valavedi Rupe.
Valavedi Rupe.
Te Bindanta.
Te
Wait.
bin.
I think
Sorry.
I'm going to take the singular PTS for reading here. So the meaning is similar, but I think this makes the case a bit stronger. So te vobindanta manye charanti.
Te Vobindanta Manye Charanti.
Panya gatena diti gatani.
Panya Gatena Diti Gatani.
Okay, so what are the 4 footprints? So he says, here, sir, I see some panditas. These would be, you could call these pundits or wise men of the Katya clan who are nipune, they're clever, and kata parapavade. So kata has a sense of have done, and para is other, and pavada would be like doctrines or teachings. So they're familiar with the teachings of others. In other words, they're knowledgeable about the different schools of philosophical thought that have been spreading around in ancient India. Vala vide rupe, the way this was translated by Jnanamoli, as sharp as hair-splitting marksmen. And to get that, the explanation for that, we have to go to the commentary. Oh, I see. So it gives, in itself, this compound is very, very compressed. So the commentary gives the explanation that for Satise is similar to Danugaha. Those who take up Danu is a bow, and Vedi is to split, and Vala is the hair of an animal. So it's similar to those who use the bow, a bow and an arrow, to split the hair of an animal. I guess this was the sign of a skilled archer in the Buddha's time, maybe the way they would train the military to become skilled archers. They would have to develop such skill that to test them, they would just take the hair of an animal and put it on the target, make that the target. And then the archer will have to be able to use his bow and arrow and shoot the arrow so precisely that it will split the hair of the animal on the target. And the rupe is what's having the form of, this is what's indicated by Sadise, just like. So they're just like those who split the hairs of animals with an arrow, taking up the bow and using the arrow. And so in the same way, they go about, and I like the reading vo, which is from V and ava. So the ava gets compressed into an O. And when the V meets with the O, the I gets dropped. And then the verb bindati means to break. But I think when it's joined with the prefix V plus ava, it can get the sense of splitting rather than breaking apart. And so coming back, okay, to the text. So they're like hair splitters, like those who shoot to split hairs. They go about, so it's as it were, manye has a sense one would think. They go about, one would think, splitting Ditti Gatani. These would be the views of others, Panya Gatena, with their wisdom. So putting this all together. So what are the four? Here I see some pundits from the Kshatriya class or caste who are clever, who are experienced or knowledgeable about the doctrines of others, who are like hair-splitting archers, who seem, as it were, to go about splitting the views, that's the views of others, with their wisdom. And the gata here, it doesn't really have any real significance. It just is kind of idiomatic expression. But the key word is panya, with their wisdom. They use their wisdom like an arrow to split the views of others, which are like the hairs of the animals. Okay, then continuing, te sunanti,
Te sunanti,
samano kalu bo gotamo,
samano kalu bo gotamo,
amukang nama gamang va nigamang va,
amukam nama gamam va nigamam va,
o sarisati.
o sarisati.
Okay, so these clever pundits, they hear, and then this is put like in direct quotation marks. The kalu here gives a sense of it is said, or maybe indeed, the ascetic Gautama, sir, will enter. So Osarisi will arrive at such and such. Amuka is like such and such, a village or town. So they hear that he's going to be coming to a nearby village or town. And so then continuing, te panhang abisan karonti.
Te panhang abisankaronti.
So they formulate a question or a problem. They make up a kind of problem, thinking, imang mayang panhang,
Imam payam
panhang.
panhang.
Yeah, don't have to be deterred by this tilde over the N. It's really is just pronounced like an ordinary N. Okay. Imang mayang panhang samanang gotamang upasankamitva puchi sama.
Samanang Gautamam Upasankamitva Puchisama.
Okay, so they formulate a problem, a question, and then they're thinking or saying to each other, having approached the ascetic Gautama, we will ask him this question. So they're going to be trying to trap the Buddha. And so then continuing, evanche no puto evang bya karisati,
Evam che no puto evam biakarisati.
evam asa mayang vadang arope sama.
Evam masa mayam vadam aropesama.
So it's a conditional with che, if when he is, the puto qualifies the Buddha, Gautama. So puto is the past participle of the verb puchati. So asked thus by us, that's the no, if he will answer evang in such a way, then thus, then we go to the subject we, and the verb arope sama, which has one of the meanings is to refute. Thus, we will refute his view, or we will refute his view in such a way. So if when he is questioned by us thus, if he should answer in such a way, then we will refute his doctrine or his assertion in such a way. And then again, evan chepi no puto evan vyakarisati,
Evam chepi no puto evam vyakarisati.
evam pisa mayang vadang arope samati.
Evam pisam mayam vadam aropesamati.
Okay, so this is just saying the same thing, but it's sort of like the first sentence. If he answers in this way, then we'll refute his doctrine in such and such a way. But if, when he's questioned by us, he should explain or answer in another way, then we'll refute his doctrine in the other way. So they're trying to trap him in a dilemma. So if he answers A, they refute his assertion A with one kind of reasoning. If he answers B, they refute his answer B in another way. So they're planning to trap the Buddha in a kind of dilemma so that he can't escape. Okay, so then te sunanti,
Te sunanti
samano kalu bo gotamo,
samano kalu bo gotamo.
amukang nama gamang va nigamang va osato.
Amukam nama gamam va nigamam va usato.
Okay, so this is their advanced plan, but now they hear that the ascetic Gautama has arrived. That's osato is the past participle, whereas osarisati, this is the future form. So now and it's based on the verb osarati, to arrive at a particular place. So they hear the ascetic Gautama has arrived at such and such a village or town. Okay, maybe I should ask any questions at this point. Okay, so then we continue. Te yena samano Gautamo, tain upasankamanti,
Te yena samano gotamo ten upasankamanti.
te samano Gautamo,
Te samano gotamo.
Dhammya kataya sandaseti samadapeti,
Dhammya kataya sandaseti samadapeti.
samutejeti sampahangseti.
Samutejeti sampahangseti.
Okay, so then the ascetic Gautama, then we have a series of 4 verbs. Sandaseti, we could say instructs. Samadapeti, maybe advises or enjoins and encourages, gives them sort of practical instruction. Samutejeti is, we could maybe say inspires, and sampahangseti gives joy to, delights. And then it's by means of Dhammya Kataya. This would be a talk on the Dhamma, a Dhamma talk. This would be instrumental case. And then the accusative object is te, them, that is these so-called pundits. So the ascetic Gautama instructs, encourages, inspires, and delights them with a Dhamma talk. And then te samanena Gautamena. Actually, we don't have to read this together. I'll just do the translation because it's pretty much just repetitive. So when they are being instructed, encouraged, inspired, and delighted by the ascetic Gautama with a Dhamma talk, then they do not even ask the ascetic Gautama their question, much less, this is kutosa vadang aropesanti. So how then would they refute his assertion? Okay, then reading together. Anya datu
Anya datu
samana seva Gautamasa
samana seva Gautamasa
savaka sampajanti.
savaka sampajanti.
Okay, so much less then do they, or how then would they refute his doctrine? And anyadatu, this is an indeclinable with the sense, here the sense is, but rather, on the other hand, they become disciples of the ascetic Gautama. This is maybe special usage of the verb sampachanti. Yeah, I don't see it close, but that in normal English we would just simply say they become disciples of the ascetic Gautama. Okay, so now, but Vachayana is still speaking. So then he goes on. He says, "Yadahang bo samane Gautame
Yadaham bo samane Gautame
imang patamang padang adasang
imam patamam padam adasam
atahang nitam agamang
ataham nitam agamam
samasambuddho bhagava swakato bhagavata dhammo supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho."
samma sambuddho bhagava svakato bhagavata dhammo supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangho.
Okay, so now he says, when, sir, I saw, that's a dasang, I saw this first footprint in regard to the ascetic Gautama, then I came to the conclusion, or maybe Nitang Agamang should go with Samane Gautame. So when I saw this first footprint, then I came to the conclusion in regard to the ascetic Gautama, the Blessed One is perfectly enlightened, the Dhamma has been well expounded by the Blessed One, the Sangha of disciples of the Blessed One is practicing well. Okay, so any questions here? Okay, so then we can go through the rest a bit quickly because, so this is the first footprint. The second is exactly the exact same thing, except in this case, it's Brahmana Pandite, that is Pandits, wise men who are Brahmins from the Brahmin class. And interesting inversion here from the way the Brahmins organize the caste system. They have the Brahmins first and then the Kshatriyas under the Brahmins. But in the Buddhist texts, because the Buddha came from the Kshatriya background, you can see the Kshatriyas come first and the Brahmins come second. Then after the Brahmins, everybody else is included under Gahapati. These are the Gahapati Pandita. These are the Pandits who are householders, ordinary householders. Then the fourth group are the Samana Pandite. These are the Pandits who are ascetics, renunciants. And everything else is the same except the conclusion. let's see where we can pick up. Okay, so when they have been instructed, encouraged, inspired, delighted with the Dhamma talk by the ascetic Gautama, then they do not even ask the question to the ascetic Gautama, how then would they refute his doctrine? But now the difference comes. Anyad attu samanang yeva Gautamang.
Anyadatu samanang yeva Gautamang.
Okasang yachanti.
Okasang yachanti.
Agarasma anagaryang pabajaya.
Agarasma anagaryang pabachaya.
Okay, so in their case, but rather they ask the ascetic Gautama himself for okasang, has a sense of permission or for the opportunity, then agarasma anagaryang pabajaya. They ask him for permission to go forth from the household into the homeless life, which is a little bit ironic in a way, because they're already said to be summoners, which means that they've already gone forth into homelessness. But what the sense is here is that they ask him, I guess, to make a transfer from the particular school of practice to which they belong to be admitted into the Buddhist monastic order. And maybe I'll stop here so that we have more time for the, yeah, maybe we'll continue this. Yeah, this is a little long, and I want to try to finish up the Ratana Sutta today. So we'll stop here and then pick up next week with the rest of this passage. Okay, so it's 2:20 now. And let us take a break till, let's say, 2:27, 7-minute break. Then we'll look at the Ratana Sutta. Okay, so now we come to the Ratana Sutta. And we arrive at verse 231. But before to do this, I just want to remark, I mentioned this in the email. Last week I mentioned that I thought that the verb vibhavayanti, which is a form of the verb vibhaveti, indicated that this sutta might be a bit later. And then I did a search using the Chatta Sangayana electronic Tripitaka, searching for this verb throughout the entire Tripitaka, restricting myself to canonical texts. And apart from this place, it only occurs in the Chula Vagga, which is, the Chula Nidesa, and another work which is a bit later. We don't find it in the four Nikayas or even in the older stratum of the Khuddaka Nikaya. Okay, so now we come to 231. So Sahavasa-dasana Sampadaya
Sahavasa-dasana sampadaya.
Tayasu Dhamma Jahita Bhavanti
Tayasu dhamma jahita bhavanti.
Sakaya Ditti Vichikichi Tancha
Sakaya ditti vichikichi tancha.
Sila Bhattang Vapi Yad Ati Kinchi.
Sila batang vapi yadati kinchi.
Chatuha payehi chavipamuto.
Chatuha payehi cha vipamuto.
Chachabi tanani ababo katung.
Chachabi tanani ababo katum.
Idampi sange ratanang panitang.
Idampi sange ratanam panitang.
Etena sachena suwati hotu.
Etena sachena suwati hutu.
Yeah, so this verse has 8 lines rather than the usual 6. Okay, so we start off with saha or sahavasa. So this is saha, meaning together with, and the va is just probably just from ava, and then asa is of him, and dasana is seeing, and in this case it means gaining the eye of the Dhamma Chakku, seeing into the ultimate truth of the Dhamma. In other words, this is referring to the wisdom, the knowledge of gaining, like, with which one gains stream entry. And sampada is achievement. And saha, often it will take the instrumental case. So together with his achievement of vision, in other words, with his attainment of the knowledge of stream entry, the direct seeing into the Four Noble Truths, Tayaso Dhamma Jahita Bhavanti. So according to the commentary, the su here is just said to be a filler, just to fill the meter. But the key word is tayo or tayas, meaning 3. And it goes with Dhamma, 3 Dhammas, 3 things. Jahita Bhavanti. Jahita means given up, discarded, abandoned. So together, in other words, simultaneously with his achievement of vision, 3 things are abandoned. So what are the 3 things? Sakaya Ditti. So this is literally, it's the view in regard to Sakaya. And the word Sakaya, very, very hard to translate it into any kind of meaningful English. It's a compound of Sat, which means existing, plus Kaya, meaning body. So literally, it's the existing body, and then the T is just assimilated to the K. But it's a term for the assemblage of the 5 aggregates. So I don't know what to, I've never found a good translation for it. We can just say and then Ditti is a view in regard to Sakaya. And the way Sakaya Ditti is explained, it's a view of a self existing in relation to the 5 aggregates in any of 4 ways, as either identical with the aggregate, the self is possessing the aggregate, the self is within the aggregate, or the aggregate within the self. So these are the 3 things that he abandons is Sakaya Ditti. For simplicity's sake, we'll call this the view of the existing body. And then Vichiki Chitta This is just an alternative form for vichikicha, which means doubt. So that is the second thing discarded. Then the third is sila batang, which is a compound of sila and vata. And vata represents Sanskrit vrata. And so because it's representing a conjunct of VR, and so what happens when you join the two is that it turns into a double B, because it's like sila vrata. And then in Pali, the vra becomes double B, usually. So sila are rules of conduct, and vata or vrata means observances undertaken, usually referring to ascetic observances. And so this is more fully, it's the sila vata paramasa, the wrong grasp of rules and observances, or sila but upadana, blindly clinging to rules and observances. So that is the third fetter. And yet ati is just whatever there is. In other words, whatever kind of sila bhatta there might be. So these are the three fetters that are abandoned together with the achievement of vision. So this is indicating that when the person attains the insight of stream entry, they will abandon the three lower fetters, Sakaya Ditti, doubt, and the wrong grasp of rules and observances. And not only do they abandon the three fetters, but well, we have the next verse, the next line indicates, Chatu ha payehi cha vipamuto. So vipamuto means freed from, and it goes with the ablative. In this case, it's the four apayas. And the apaya are the states of the bad destinations, the bad or undesirable states of rebirth. And what indicates to me that this sutta is a little bit later is the mention of four apayas. Because in the main Nikayas, we usually find three apayas, the hells, the animal realm, and the realm of the pretas, the afflicted spirits. But here a fourth is mentioned, which the commentary identifies with the asuras. And so now one is released or freed from the four types of lower rebirth, the fourfold plane of misery. And then the next benefit that comes from achieving vision is Chachabi Tanani Ababo Katung, that one is unable to do. So ababo, first the word ababo, means impossible or unable. And it's a Pali form of the word bhavya, which is from the verb bhavati, to be, and bhavya is an future passive participle form, but it takes on a kind of extended meaning of being capable of something, and to be incapable is ababo. So one is unable to do 6 things, and it's here we have cha plus abhitanani, and this is a plural of the word tana. It seems that this prefix abhi here has just been added for metrical reasons, but what we usually find are tana as a case or type of action. And so we have 6 kinds of deeds that the person who attains stream entry is unable to do. So what are the 6 things? 5 of them are called usually the 5 terrible deeds with immediate results. That is to kill one's mother, to kill one's father, to kill an arahant, and then with a malicious mind to injure the Buddha. And then the 5th is with malicious intent to cause a schism in the Sangha. So those are 5. And then the 6th is to indicate, to look to somebody apart from the Buddha as being one's spiritual master. It doesn't mean that if you're a Buddhist that you can't look to, somebody else as one's teacher, meditation teacher, Dhamma teacher, whatever. But what the stream enterer is incapable of doing is to look at another spiritual teacher as being like the supreme enlightened or exalted teacher in the world. But always their refuge is the Buddha. The ultimate teacher is the Buddha. Okay, so putting it all together. So together with his achievement of vision, 3 things are abandoned. So the view of Sakkaya, or the view of a self, doubt, and this is doubt about the Buddha and his teaching, or any kind of, whatever kind of clinging to rules and observances. And further, one is released from the 4 bad destinations and is unable to do 6 things, 6 gross things. So this is the excellent jewel in the Sangha. By this truth, may there be well-being or safety, and so on. Okay, so any questions about this?
Bante?
Yeah.
I didn't quite get it when you say ababo is derived from
Bhavya?
avia.
Yeah.
So is ababo a future passive participle?
Originally, it was a future passive participle, but it comes to function as an adjective describing the person. One who is capable, one who is incapable.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Good afternoon, Bante. Can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. What is, I think I've asked before, but what is the reason why the sa of Sakkaya Ditthi can't just mean oneself, like the view of the body as self or something like that?
Yeah, I think because in that case, it would be sa plus kaya.
And so wouldn't have 2 Ks.
Yeah, then it would be
so-
one's own body.
Okay. Thank you, Bante.
Okay.
Actually, I have one other question about the asa. I mean, there are multiple meanings of asa. And I'm curious how you are so quickly able to discern that it's asa meaning his versus like asa as the optative.
Yeah, it seems an optative verb wouldn't make sense here. I just don't see how it would fit in grammatically. I just want to see what the commentary
Thank you, Mate.
says. The commentary for Asa, it says, one of those who have been described as unable to, or that they do not acquire or obtain an eighth existence. Yeah, so the commentary is closing it with anyata rasa, a certain one of those indicated in the previous verse, that they don't acquire an eighth existence.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to 232.
Bante, may I ask a quick question on 231? What does vapi mean? Because I can't see it in the dictionary other than with the reference to water, which is obviously wrong.
Yeah, no, it's not water. Sila, but vapi. Yeah, I don't know actually.
Okay.
It seems
Sorry.
that Sila Batang Vapi. It could be just va as or. Let's see. Okay, Sakaya Diti.
Or indeed.
Yeah. Doubt or whatever Sila Bhatta there is. That's the way I would make sense of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't see that it's glosed in the commentary. Yeah, the P, of course, is also or and the va could be, it could be either or it could be the v, the emphatic v, joined with P. Okay, so now we'll take 232. Kinchapi so kamang karoti papakang.
Kinchapi sokamam karoti papakang.
Kayena vacha udachetasava.
Kayena vacha udachetasava.
Abubbo sotasa. Padi chadaya.
Ababo sotasa patichadaya.
Abubata dita padasa vuta.
Abapata dita padasa vuta.
Idampi sange ratanang panitang.
Idampi sange ratanang panitang.
Etena sachena suwati hotu.
Etena sachena suwati hutu.
Okay, so this verse is actually, it's based on a passage occurring in Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 48, describing the character of a person who has attained the fruit of stream entry. Okay, so it says kinchapi. Kinchapi means even though, although. So although he does some deed, some karma, and the adjective used here is papakang, which often is translated as evil, but this wouldn't really work in the case of a stream enterer. You wouldn't expect a stream enterer to do something that's evil, but sometimes they can commit an action that goes against some of the minor precepts. So you could say a bad action. So even though he does a bad action, like maybe if he gets angry, he might speak roughly to somebody, or even, I would assume, even a stream enterer can get angry enough so that he might even give a blow to somebody. I don't know, but not with the intention of killing. But anyway, kayena is by body, vacha is by speech, and then uda, it's really the same in meaning as va, or cetasa, by mind. So even though he does a bad deed by body, or speech or mind. Then here we have a bubbo again. He is unable to literally for the concealment of that. But in normal English, we would translate as though this were an infinitive. He is unable to conceal that. Then abubata, the impossibility, vuta, has been stated. Dita padasa, this is an interesting expression. Dita is seen, and pada is a state. And here it's referring to, presumably, to nibbana. So this is the stream enterer, and those higher are described as dita pada, those who have seen the state, who have seen the amata dhatu, the deathless element. Okay, so the impossibility has been stated in the case of one who has seen the state, who has seen nibbana with the attainment of stream entry. Yeah, so oops. I'm just trying to find the passage. Yeah. So this is in the sutta number 48 of the Majjhima Nikaya. It says that this is the nature of a person who has achieved the view, that is the world transcending right view, even though he commits an offense. This is a monastic offense of a type for which there is a way to, to rehabilitate oneself. He will quickly confess it and open it up either to the teacher or to his wise fellow monastics. And then having confessed it and revealed it, he will achieve restraint in the future. Okay, so even though he does some bad deed by body or by speech or by mind, he is unable to conceal that. The impossibility has been stated for one who has seen the state. This is the jewel, the excellent jewel in the Sangha. By this truth, may there be well-being. Okay, so any questions?
I have a question about pronunciation, Bhante.
Yeah.
Is there any clear point in time when the V is pronounced as a W?
Yeah, I've heard Sri Lankan monks and perhaps Indian monks pronounce the V in a way that sort of borders between our V, the ordinary English V, and the W. I can't imitate them perfectly. What? Vacha? Maybe Kamal, do you have how do you handle that sound?
Bhante, I think we don't have a sound which sort of starts with W in Hindi, or at least in Hindi, I'm sure of. It's Va only. So it becomes difficult for us Indian speakers to speak English when it comes to W, the words which start with W. We tend to speak with Va, like V
I see.
sound. So that's how it is, actually.
Yeah, but I've heard it from the Sri Lankan monks. Do we have a Sri Lankan on this in this group? Venerable Satyananda, how, I thought Venerable Satyananda was on. Maybe not.
No.
Yeah, anyway, it's sort of, the way I've heard it from Sri Lankan monks, it's sort of halfway between the V and the W, vacha.
So it doesn't really depend on the location of the consonant in the word.
Yeah,
Was it the beginning or the middle?
I'm not really sure about that.
Okay, thank you.
Bante,
Yeah.
another question about pronunciation, which is tilde nie and J. We don't pronounce the J like anyali, right?
Wait, say again.
When a J following a nia, tilde and, we don't pronounce the following J, right? Like anyali.
A J following a yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
no, the J would be pronounced,
The J will be pronounced.
let's say, like in Sanjanati.
Yeah,
No, the J would be pronounced.
I
It
see.
would be pronounced
Thank you, sir.
Sanjanati.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I used to take Sanskrit, and my guru said, "Don't pronounce the J."
I think maybe what he meant is,
So we always say,
maybe he meant in words like where the J precedes the nya.
I see.
There I hear, well, I hear the Sri Lankans who are pronouncing Sanskrit. I think I've heard Indians also pronounce this. In fact, when Sri Lankans are spelling out Sanskrit, like Sanskrit names, they would spell this out like nya without pronouncing the J, not jña, not
Okay.
jnana, but
Jnana.
jnana.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let us see if we could take one more verse, and I'll follow the Sri Lankan reading here. Okay. Vanapakumbe yata pusi tage
Vanapagambe yata pusitage
ginhanamase patamasmin ginhe
gimha namase patamasmim gimhe
tadupamang dhamma varang adesai.
tatupamam damararang adesayi.
Yeah, I think it should be a long guy. Nibbana gaming paramang hitaya
Nibbana gamim paramam hitaya
idampi bude ratanang panitang
idampi bude ratanang panitang
etena sachena suwati hotu.
etena sachena suwati hotu.
Okay, so this starts with a very beautiful simile. So the simile is indicated by the word yata, just like, just as. Then we have vana pagumbe. And so vana is woods or forest, and pagumba, it would be like a bush. Or yeah, I had a thicket. Okay, so like a thicket. So it's like a thicket in the woods, and the thicket is described here as pusi tage. So age is the tips, the ends. And pusita, I've been puzzled by that because pusita itself is the past participle of the verb pusiti, which means to touch or to make contact. And I'm just wondering, I had a note of this in my translation, whether it was not originally pupita, which would mean flowering, blossoming, but in sense that seems to be required. So with flowering tops, so just like a thicket in the woods with flowering tops, then gin hana mase patamusmin gin he. So gimha is the hot season in India, generally lasting March, April, May, till and through June actually. March, April, May, and June. So this would be in the first heat in the hot months. In the first month of the hot season, that's the time when the trees, the flower trees are blossoming. And so it says, in Tatupamung, so similar to that, in just such a way, Dhamma Varanga Desai, he taught the excellent Dhamma. So Vara is an adjective meaning excellent or supreme, which usually follows the noun that it qualifies in a compound. So with such a simile, he taught the excellent Dhamma. And then the excellent Dhamma is described as Nibbana Gaming, going to Nibbana. So this is functioning as an adjective describing Dhamma Varang, but then the destination is indicated by Paramang which actually should be joined, and it should be Paramahitaya, towards going to Nibbana for the supreme well-being. And then this nasal sound is added just for the purpose, for euphonic purposes. In order to meet the metrical requirements. Okay, so now he concludes, this is the excellent jewel in the Buddha. By this truth, may there be safety, security, well-being. Okay, so putting it all together. So just like a forest thicket with flowering tops in the first month of the hot, in the heat, in the first month of the hot season, just like that, he taught, so just like that, he taught the excellent Dhamma leading to Nibbana for the supreme good, or for the supreme well-being. This is the excellent jewel in the Buddha. By this truth, may there be well-being, may there be security. Okay, any questions here? Yeah, I have my own question here. Yeah, but my question is, why does the first line, the first two lines, why does it use the locative case? Here, the locative in the first heat, in the first month of the hot season. But why in the first line, just as, yeah, I don't know. Does anybody have any ideas why the locative would be used?
It isn't possible that it could be a locative absolute.
It doesn't look like it because there's no past participle or present participle.
Um,
In the,
this might seem kind of far out. um, what if it's describing the direct experience of awakening as being perceived by the meditator like a flowering bush in a chitta?
no, it's just
Okay.
setting out a simple simile to
Okay.
illustrate the, okay, he taught the excellent Dhamma similar to, yeah, I'll have to look. I have K.R. Norman's translation of the Sutta Nipata, but it's downstairs. I'll have to see if usually he has notes on these subtle questions. I'll have to look into that. Okay, any other questions then? Okay, then we'll stop here and then resume next week. Okay, so that will be it for the afternoon.
Thank you, Bhante.
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 Oh,
Thank you,
usually,
Bhante.
Thank you,
usually
Bhante.
we always end with doing
Thank
3
And
bows
bows to the Buddha.
Of course.
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
And bow to Bhante.
Thank
Okay.
you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Thank you for
Thank you,
reading,
Bhante.
Margot. It was very, very good pronunciation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bhante.
Okay.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bhante.
Okay.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. So we'll